Welcome back. I'm Pratap here. Today is 5th October 2023. So in next 5 minutes, let us quickly evaluate high liquidity zones generated during our previous trading session, that is on yesterday. So let's look into yesterday's reports. We have a high liquidity zone about India, but we are rejecting because it is already pierced. And the next high liquidity zone is Bajaj Finserv. So let us look into this stock. So we didn't get the entry during today's session, but one point you should observe, already yesterday's candle gave an entry and today it reached the target. If you look into the 75 minutes, here we can understand. Yesterday, during 9:15 candle as well as 13 hours, that is a 1 p.m. candle, it gave the entry. And today it reached the target. But the point you need to understand, why we missed this trade during yesterday? The reason is we are looking for the stocks near demand and supply zones. So yesterday it already tested and it closed near the demand zone. That's why it was listed yesterday. But if you would have looked into the tested zones, we might have identified this stock. But why previous day we didn't get this stock? Previous day's report, why it didn't show? Because look into the close. It is not near to the demand zone. That could be the reason why we miss this stock. Then how to identify these kind of stocks? For that, every day at the end of the report, I am publishing all the 201 stocks for your reference. If you look into high liquidity zones in that list, probably you will find all the high liquidity zones. If any of those stocks which are near, but next trading day, if they come closer to the demand zones or supply zones, you can find. Maybe you can keep some triggers, price triggers in your trading view or some other trading software. If price reaches the demand zone, the trigger will fire and it will tell you, or the alerts, it will tell you the price is entered into the demand zone or supply zone. So always look into the all the 201 stocks list. Apart from the list, we are generating stocks near to demand and supply zones. So this is one important point I would like to convey in today's session. But also I would like to generate all the high liquidity demand and supply zones in today's report. I will tell you how to generate those reports. I will show you. Okay, let's go to the next stock. If anybody wants to know how much return it has given, you please calculate. You know how to calculate. I already explained in the previous videos. Next high liquidity zone is sale. So we didn't get the entry. Stock is yet to get into this demand zone probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We can expect the entry. And the next high liquidity zone, SBI Life. So this is also yet to reach because this is already a tested zone. So I identified a deep entry in the 75 minutes time frame. So once price reaches here, you can take an entry. So today we didn't get the entry. Let's go to the next stock. Next high liquidity zone is Tata Steel. And here also it is yet to reach into the demand zone. But remember, Tata Steel is high in the curve. So now prices are moving back from this is the monthly demand zone, sorry, supply zone, monthly supply zone. The prices are moving down from the supply zones. Sorry, this is the weekly supply zone, and the one above that, the light color, red color or pink color, whatever you say, and that is monthly demand zone. So this is the monthly, and this is the weekly supply zones. Supply zones. So prices are coming down from supply zones when they are, and also we are inside this monthly supply zone. When we are inside the monthly supply zone, you should probably understand, is it safe to take trade in this zone? But one thing you can do, you can go for intraday trade. It is allowed. Intraday, probably use this zone for only for your intraday long opportunities. Don't go for short-term trading or swing trading. It is quite risky trading inside the monthly supply zone. So this is about Tata Steel. We didn't get the entry. So no more high liquidity demand zones. Now let's look into the supply zones, high liquidity supply zones. Stocks near supply zones on daily time frame. So do we have any high liquidity supply zone? This is a confirmation trading related. So we need to apply a different strategy, and you should have good knowledge on this subject. So that's why I'm not entering into this. But here one more Nifty mid cap select. Sorry, this is not supply zone. This is demand zone. This is also demand zone. We are looking for supply zones. I'm sorry. So no high liquidity supply. It is not high liquidity. Yes, this is high liquidity, Balaram chain. But the problem is it is already pierced. So we don't trade the pierced zones. So that's why I am not looking into this stock. Supply zone, normal supply zone, pierced supply zone, supply zone, supply zone. So we don't have any high liquidity supply zones in yesterday's report. So that means we didn't find any trading opportunities from this report. So today we didn't get any trading opportunities. None of our trades are triggered, especially from the demand zones, high liquidity demand zones. And we haven't find any high liquidity supply zones in yesterday's report. So now let us generate today's supply and demand zone reports. But before getting into stocks near demand and supply zones, let me generate all the demand and supply zones which are related to high liquidity zones. It is only for your further study in detail. Instead of, you might be thinking, finding all the high liquidity zones by going through all the 201 stocks, if I might be having the complete list before me, it is easy for me to study and analysis. You might feel like that sometimes. So that is the reason why let me generate high liquidity demand zones. First, I will look into the demand zones, then I will look into the supply zones. For that, you need to build a strategy. So far, we haven't used the strategy builder except looking into the column signal type. Now today, I am going to make use of the other parameters in the strategy builder. So entry time frame is daily, and we are looking for demand zones, right? So I am selecting entry zone as a demand zone. and I am selecting the parameter high liquidity. Which time frame we are looking? Daily time frame. So in daily time frame, we have so many high liquidity types. We have a CZ, we have a support resistance, we have a TCP, possible LTF TCP, TCO and TCZ. Last two are related to confirmation trading related. And I am showing this list as per the priority. CZ is having highest priority, but actually it is having highest priority in quarterly, monthly and weekly time frames. And if you are strictly speaking, support and resistance is having highest priority than CZ from daily time frame onwards. Daily time frame 125 minutes, 75 minutes, 25 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. In all these time frames, S by R is having highest priority than CZ. This is what I clearly explained in high liquidity NeoStock's high liquidity zones video. I have already published one special video related to NeoStock's high liquidity zones under NeoStock terminology playlist. If you did not go through that video, please go through that video so that you understand clarity about all these liquidity zones. I have explained in that particular video. Okay, first let us focus. We are primarily focusing on S by R, support, resistance, high liquidity zones. Please remember, this concept is not same as the support line, resistance line concept you might have learned in traditional technical analysis concepts. This uses a different algorithm. Okay? So we are going to filter these stocks, but remember, we are not, okay, I will show you that point after generating the report. First, let me generate the report. See, now all these stocks, total how many? 49 stocks out of 201 stocks are having high liquidity zones. That means almost 1/4 of the list is having high liquidity zones. I mean high liquidity demand zones. But look into this column PIA, pierced. Some of these zones are already pierced. For example, NIFTY Financial Services is already pierced. We don't look into this stock. Why unnecessarily we are filtering this? I mean, we are showing this. Why can't we filter? For that, go back to the strategy builder. So we have already selected this high liquidity as a support resistance in daily time frame. Now I'm going to the daily time frame. Look into this parameter pierced count. I don't want a pierced zones. So what I am doing in the daily time frame, the minimum and maximum I am setting 0. So I want stocks having pierced count 0 between minimum 0 and maximum 0. That means the pierced count should be 0. After setting this, now I am filtering the stocks. See, now the list is reduced to 43. Now these demand zones, but the point you should understand, some of these demand zones are near to the, some of these stocks are near to the demand zone, some are near to the supply zone, but when you want to trade, until price reaches to the demand zone, you have to wait and watch. Every day I am showing you only stocks near demand and supply zones. So immediately next day, you are getting the trading opportunity. But when you are looking into these stocks, most of the stocks may not be near to the demand zone. So you have to wait for a day or 2 days or 3 days, sometimes even a week, until the price reaches to the demand zone. So that is the point you should remember. Okay, here you might ask another question. Looking for the fresh zones is much better than already tested zones, right? So why can't we filter only the stocks having a fresh zones, high liquidity zones, having fresh zones? So let me go back. So here you can find a parameter called test count. So in the test count in daily time frame, I am setting the minimum value as 0 and maximum value as 0. That means the test count should be 0. Test count 0 means it is a fresh zone. It is not yet tested. If you also want the rejection count also 0, you can also set even the rejection count 0, 0. But first we will focus on test count. Because the rejections also consume some of the pending orders. You should not forget that point. Now what happened? Now the list is reduced to 18 from 43. Now all these stocks are having high liquidity demand zones and they are not pierced and the test count is 0. So look into the strategy, search strategy. Your entry zone is demand zone. Your HLQ means high liquidity. Your high liquidity and daily time frame, it should be support resistance because you are identifying it is demand zone, so it is a support zones. And your zone test count and daily time frame, it should be between 0 and 0. That means test count should be 0 and your zone pierced count and daily time frame, it should be between 0 and 0. That means the pierced count also should be 0. That's why your test count is 0, pierced count 0. Next stock also test count 0, pierced count 0. Which time frame we are looking? We are we are applying this filter daily time frame. Which zone you are applying these filters? Demand zone, daily demand zone. Which type of demand zone? Because you already set it is a high liquidity daily demand zone. And which type of high liquidity? It is support resistance. So total 18 stocks are there. So you can focus on these stocks. Whichever stocks reaches first into the demand zone, you can take a trade in that stock. But remember, the trade procedure, the principles you should not forget. For a fresh zone, you should always take entry at this zone high for demand zone. Your entry should be at this zone high for a demand zone. You should not forget this point. So you should, to manage the risk, what you have to do? Go to the 75 minutes. At a daily zone high, you try to identify a 75 minutes demand zone. That means inside daily demand zone, you need to identify a 75 minutes demand zone, that is zone confluence. And that 75 minutes demand zone should be near to the daily demand zone high because it is a fresh zone. If it is not a fresh zone, you take a deep entry. If it is not a demand zone, you take a deep entry. I already explained all these strategies in detail with charts in last few sessions. So if you did not, and if you don't know how to fine tune, please refer those videos. I wish this list is useful to you. Okay. Is it possible to filter further? Yes. Sometimes you may think if it is a demand zone, having the demand zone either at the equilibrium or low on the curve will give better results than having the demand zone at high on the curve. Is there any demand zone at, yes, look into this demand zone. This Tata Steel, it is at high on the curve. You don't want to So you don't want to focus on such kind of stocks. In such kind of situation, what you do? You set your location or curve, either equilibrium or low on curve. So let me set that parameter and filter the stocks for you. So I already selected that parameter and selected the option low on curve and equilibrium. Now let me filter. See, now the number of stocks are 16 only. Now look into the search strategy. Your entry zone is demand zone. Your high liquidity type on daily time frame is support zones. And your demand zone curve, that curve means location. Your demand zone curve or location. What is the value? Daily demand zone in monthly. That means our entry time frame is daily, but we are looking for the curve in monthly time frame. That is what daily demand zone in monthly. What is the value we set? Either LOC or equilibrium. Any one is okay. If you want only low on curve, you can set only low on curve. If you want only equilibrium, you can select equilibrium. But I have selected the option either one. And remaining things, the test count should be 0 and zone pierced count should be 0. Now total 16 stocks are selected and all these 16 stocks are high liquidity demand zones. They are the fresh zones and they are all either in low on curve or equilibrium. Now analyze these stocks and you may get trade in one or more stocks during tomorrow's session. Might be possible. Or if the market is completely against you, maybe you may not get a trading opportunity. That is what we have experienced today. Today we didn't get any trading opportunity in high liquidity zones. So this is the way you can filter only high liquidity zones by defining a strategy. This is what NeoStock's supply demand zone advanced strategy builder does. As per your requirements, it will filter the stocks. You might ask, why I am not filtering the stocks based on these conditions? Why daily I am looking only stocks near demand and supply zones? If that is the case, sometimes we may miss few trading opportunities like we missed one of the stocks today. Right? In Bajaj FinServ, it didn't show in day before yesterday's report, but yesterday it get into the demand zone and gave an entry. Because yesterday it gave an entry, today it didn't give the entry again second time, but instead it reached the target. That means we missed a trading opportunity. You may ask this question, right? But you should not forget one important proverb you might be knowing. You know the proverb, too many cooks, involvement will spoil the dish. You know this proverb, right? Exactly the same way. If we are analyzing too many stocks, probably it will spoil your trading plan. If we are, see, every day how many stocks you are getting near demand and supply zones, high liquidity zones? Hardly 1, 2 or 3 stocks you are getting. So your trade planning is very easy and you focus only on those 2 or 3 stocks. But see this list, 16 stocks. All these 16 stocks are not near demand zone. Some are near the demand zone, some are near the supply zone, some are in between, some are inside the demand zone, some are inside the supply zone. But if you are keep on watching all these stocks, your focus will not be on a specific stock that probably will give you a good profit. When you are watching all these stocks, you may take a wrong decision. and it might spoil your trading plan. This is the reason why I'm not showing you this list on every day. But if anybody wants to find high liquidity zones other than what we are showing near demand and supply zones, every day at the end of the report, I am showing you the complete list of the stocks. I've been telling you, if you have any favorite stock, go to that list, go and find that stock, pause the video there, and study the parameters. That is what I've been telling every day. But remember, it looks very impressive by showing you this list. You may think, wow, it's a great tool. It is showing the stocks as per our requirements. But definitely it will spoil your trading plan. Today you miss the trading opportunity. Okay, leave. Today could be your rest day. No issues. But yesterday you got successful trades. Day before yesterday you got successful trades. Last Friday you got successful trades. If one day if you did not get a trade, okay, there is nothing wrong. Take rest on that day. Just relax. Hope you understand why I am not showing you these kind of reports on every day. Just focus only on the stocks near to the demand and supply zones. You may get 2 or 3 high liquidity zones. Just concentrate on them. You might ask a question, but all these zones are fresh zones. Every day we may not be getting fresh zones. Yes, true. That is true. But even if it is not a fresh zone, still they are giving you trading opportunities. I already revealed a strategy. What is the strategy? Take a deep entry. Or maybe a new supply might have been created, or new demand zone might have been created. That could be a fresh zone, fine tune, and take entry in that zone. Because what happens in high liquidity zones, always new demand or supply zones will keep on creating inside that high liquidity zones at lower time frame levels. Those new supplies or new demand zones inside the high liquidity zones will always giving you a new trading opportunities. That is the reason why inside the high liquidity zones always it is giving success for first time, second time, third time, or multiple times. You may ask a question. Suppose if you don't find any zone deep inside that high liquidity demand zone. That means inside the daily demand zone, if I don't find a 75 minutes or 15 minutes demand zone deep inside, if it is already tested, or if I did not find any fresh inside that, then most probably that high liquidity zone will be failed. Soon that high liquidity will be violated. That is an indication. So don't take trade in that zone. Just avoid it. Because we already sensed that is going to be violated soon. Probably that is the end for that high liquidity zone. So we got an indication. How we got the indication? Because we went inside and we were looking for the lower time frame zones, which we didn't find. So let me show you. Recently, NIFTY's high liquidity zone is violated. How it is violated? Let me show you. It is an important lesson for you. So this is Nifty 50. This is a high liquidity zone. It has given multiple tests for us, and we got some good profits also. And a couple of days back, I analyzed this Nifty 50 because one of our previous days video has shown this Nifty 50 in the list. So let me go to the focus on this. This is the high liquidity daily demand zone, and this one is a weekly demand zone. Which is high liquidity? Daily is the high liquidity. So in this area, focus on the 75 minutes zones. Actually, I have removed the zones, but anyway, we can easily see. See here, we have a, from here to here, we have a 75-minute zone. Is it successful during the first test? Yes. After that, what happened? This 75-minute zone is broken. But it actually, this 75 minutes gave second entry also here, deep inside, it gave the second entry. And after that, it is broken. And from where the orders picked up? The next 75 minutes zone. So this is the next 75 minutes zone. And are there any more 75 minute zones here? No. So next time what happened? The price simply went below this. That means here at this point of time, the moment this supply zone is broken, I know that this daily demand zone will be violated. The reason is immediately its next lower time frame, I didn't find any zones, demand zones within the daily time frame. But what happened? I identified within the weekly zone, I identified a 75 minutes time frame. I know that it will pick up the orders from here. See here, from here, it picked up the pending orders, and then how much move? Nearly 200 points move we have seen from here. I also know that even though it is not a high liquidity zone, I know that mostly this is going to be a successful zone. The reason is, can you guess before I tell the answer? Just think for a while. Just pause the video first and think what could be the reason. Why I am so much confident that this zone will work even though it is not a high liquidity zone. Just pause the video, think for some time. Okay, let me tell you the answer. You might be knowing a concept called bull trap and bear trap. And this 75 minutes zone is a bear trap. The moment this high liquidity zone is broken, the generally what is the thinking of demand and supply zone traders? They think it is a breakout of the high liquidity zones. Then probably because supply is very strong, it will push the prices down. So probably this weekly zone also will be broken. That is, in general, we think like that. But generally, you know what institutions? They are very clever. They know how we will be thinking. That's why they set the traps. Just below the high liquidity zones, you see most of the times, not every time, but most of the times you see below the high liquidity zone, if it is a demand zone, or above the high liquidity zone, if it is a supply zone, they keep a trap at least in one time frame below. Sometimes even two time frames below also, they will set the trap. So here, generally what demand and supply zones traders will do the moment it is broken, they go to lower time frame like 2 minutes time frame or 3 minutes or 5 minutes time frame. They find a supply zone and then they will go for short trades because they are thinking that it will give a huge return. But what institutions are doing? They are consuming all those short orders and they set a huge long orders here and see how it pushed the price up. Next time again price comes here, maybe it may fail. Or it may give a deep entry, again it may go deep, again it may come back. We don't know, we can't predict that. But anyway, it is not a fresh zone. Next time definitely it may break. But we have one more 125 minutes zone here. But I don't know how strong it is. But this is a bear trap. All the bears are caught here. Because the moment it is broken, traders become bears. They have generated short orders and all their shorts are captured by the institution. And their long orders, the pending long orders, push the price up. So that is the reason why you should be very careful, especially when the demand and supply zones are high liquidity demand and supply zones are violated. Hope you understand how I predicted this daily high liquidity zone is will be going to be violated because there are no more lower time frame zones available inside this. So price has gone easily, it went down. And here institutions bear trap pushed the price up from here. So this is an important lesson for everyone, especially when you are dealing with high liquidity zones. Okay. So the point I would like to tell you, you can get all these zones from the 201 stocks reference list. Every day I am generating at the end of the video. So please go through them. You don't require to filter the stocks every day like this, but I am just to give you an idea. I am showing you this list. All these zones are available in the list. Okay, if I generate a list like this, it will save some of your time. I agree with that. Excuse me. But the point you should understand, you yourself can find such kind of stocks by going through the list and focusing on all these zones and monitoring them. Definitely, it will spoil your trade plan. It will not make you feel happy if I really show you this list every day. Every day, you people are able to find at least 2 or 3 high liquidity zones. And from that, 1 or 2 minimum are giving. Maybe today is an exceptional day. None of the zones are triggered. But mostly, most of the days, at least 1 or 2 zones are getting triggered. That is enough for you. So that you can focus more on those zones. Now you have to analyze 16 stocks. But the stocks, the high liquidity zones, near demand and supply zones, hardly 1 or 2 stocks you will find, and your focus will be only on those stocks. You do a detailed analysis at lower time frames. You will fine tune to minimize your risk and maximize your return. Hope you understand why I am not showing this list on every day. But still, I am giving you an option by showing you all the 201 stocks at the end of the day and every day. Okay, now let's go to our main topic and generate the stocks near demand and supply zones. So entry time frame is daily. Let us find the stocks which are near to the daily demand zone. So these 16 stocks are near to the daily demand zone. So we have some good. Bank Nifty is also near to the high liquidity demand zone, which is tested 5 times, gave 7 rejections. And look into the trend. Monthly trend is up, weekly trend is up, daily trend is up. You might be knowing your trade plan, right? You go to the lower time frame, that is 75 minutes. If you find any fresh, recently created 75-minute zones, probably you take an entry in that zone. Otherwise, you go deep inside the daily demand zone. There you find a 75-minute zone. If you don't find there also, probably you can expect this high liquidity demand zone will be broken very soon or it will be violated very soon. Like I explained for Nifty 50, right? Okay. About is not because it is already pierced. And we have Bajaj Finserv. It is already gave 3 tests. You have to take a deep entry now. Yesterday only it gave an entry and today it reached the target. And now again it is coming back to near to the demand zone. And what else we have? Dr. Reddy, C underscore DZ, it is a fresh zone and it is at the equilibrium. And look into the trend, uptrend, sideways and uptrend. Daily is up, it is a good sign because we are going to the 75 minutes time frame for fine tuning. Because it is a fresh zone, try to find a 75 minute zone near the daily demand zone high, that is zone high. And we have Hindustan Unilever. It is already tested 2 times for rejections, but 22 candles closed inside this zone. That means 22 days. Still, yes, sorry, it is broken. That is what I am wondering. It is broken. 6 times it is pierced, but still coming back into this zone. That means just below this, you know the reason? I already explained sometime before. There could be a bear trap below this zone which is pushing the prices up. Go and find the trap below this high liquidity zone. And the next stock is in Indus Tower. Previously, once we traded in the Indus Tower. I didn't remember it is a demand zone or supply zone, but previously it gave a good return also. So look into this. And next one, sale. We didn't get the entry today. It's a fresh zone and Tata Steel is also there. Today we didn't get the entry. They are fresh zones. But remember, Tata Steel is at high on the curve, so you should be careful. So this is these are all the stocks near to the daily demand zones. Let's go back. For the entry time frame daily, let us find the stocks which are near to the daily supply zone. Let us filter the stocks. So 11 stocks are filtered where price is near to the daily supply zone. Nifty auto index is a high liquidity zones. Excuse me. So you should be auto stocks, you should be very careful based on this index. You may get short opportunities in auto index stocks. If anybody trade based on the indexes, you analyze the index, then go and find the stocks related to the index. Just focus on this. Balram Chin, we don't take this because it is already pierced. And Bosch is low on the curve, but it is a supply zone, so should be careful. It is already tested 11 times, 27 rejections. My God. 19 times it closed inside the zone, but still it is not pierced. You know the reason why? See the risk. Excuse me. It is 5.11. So that means there could be so many lower time frame zones inside this. Anything else? Counter trend trade related zone. McDowell, that is United Sprint. So McDowell is having a counter trend. It is a perfect counter trend setup. The reason is monthly is up, weekly is up, but daily is changed to sideways. So anyway, we are going one time frame below. Definitely their trend could be either sideways or downtrend. And what else we have? PEL. PEL is also a high liquidity zone which is not pierced. So, but it is already tested 6 times and 15 rejections it is having, but location is not good. It is low on curve. Especially low on curve stocks for supply zones and high on curve stocks for demand zones. You have to do a detailed analysis. You have to go to monthly, you have to go to daily, and then you need to understand the price direction, how it is moving. Is it going to the demand zone? If you look into these supply zones, is price monthly and weekly, are they going towards the monthly zone and the weekly zone? They are not yet reached monthly and weekly zones, then you can accept the trade. If they already reached monthly zone and weekly zone and price turned its direction, and if they are going down or going up, because this is the demand zones we are talking, I mean monthly and weekly demand zones, but our trade is on supply zone. If the price is going up, probably this high liquidity zone will be violated very soon. So that's why you should be very careful. And what else we have? Yeah, Titan. C underscore SZ. This is completely 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, all zeros. Zero test, zero rejection, zero close inside the zone, and zero pierced. So it's a good stock, but location, equilibrium, fine. And a trend, uptrend, and uptrend monthly, weekly, but here it is a sideways daily. That is a positive thing. If you go to the 75 minutes, if the trend is downtrend, and you can give priority to this stock Titan. Excuse me. So this is about the stocks near demand and supply zones. I think you have to do a lot of work on these stocks. So let's go back and find the stocks which are closed inside daily and daily demand and supply zones. So entry time frame is daily. Let us find the stocks which are closed inside a daily demand zone. This is the filtered list. See here Nifty 50, it is closed inside pierced demand zone, because this demand zone is already pierced. But the bear trap pushed the price up. So total 55 stocks filtered where price closed inside a daily demand zone. So let's go back. Entry time frame daily. Let us find the stocks which are closed inside daily supply zone. So this is the filtered list. So total 21 stocks are filtered where price closed inside daily supply zone. Let's go back and find the tested zones. Entry time frame daily. Let us find daily tested demand zones. So today 4 demand zones are tested. Excuse me. Let's go back. For entry time frame daily, let us find the tested daily supply zones. So these daily supply zones are tested. So total 22 stocks are filtered. Let's go back and find newly created demand and supply zones. Entry time frame daily. Let us find the stocks having newly created demand zones. These stocks are having newly created demand zones. I'm not saying all these demand zones are newly created one. They are having newly created, and most of these zones are newly created. Unless your demand zone, newly created demand zone is inside another daily demand zone, in that case, whichever zone is having high, that will be shown in this list. Look into this. This is not a newly created demand zone, but inside this, newly demand zone is there. In such kind of scenario, rarely you find such kind of stocks. But otherwise, the list will be showing newly created demand zones. How do you know this zone is a newly created or it is already inside some other zone? Look into the legout date. If the legout date is today's date, it is a newly created zone. If it is not today's date, probably our newly created zone is inside this demand zone. Because my reports will be showing the most recent zones. Recent means the nearest zone for the today's price will be shown. If you want only in today's created zones, and I have another tool is available. Currently, I am not showing that tool to you guys because I felt it is not required. Okay. So Nifty 50 created a new demand zone, which is there inside this. So let's find newly created supply zones. Entry time frame daily. Let us find the stocks having newly created supply zones. So these four stocks are having newly created supply zones. Is this demand zone is a newly created supply zone? No. The newly created supply zone is inside this demand zone. It is there. You can go to the chart and you can find. How can we say that? Because the legout date is not today's date. That way you can find. In this menu, we have several options. Currently, I am not exposing this. There are certain things are not, I don't want to show it to the public at this point of time. But otherwise, okay. Now let me generate demand and supply zones for all the 201 stocks for our further reference. Entry time frame daily. Without setting any filters, I generated demand and supply zones for all these stocks. Always focus on the zone column if you want to look for high liquidity zones and look into the pierced zone to check it is a pierced or valid zone. So I'll keep on scrolling this list. Whichever the stock you want to refer, there pause our video and then you can study parameters related to demand and supply zones for that particular stock. So this is the end of the list. I wish this information is useful to you for your further study and analysis. So let us all meet again in our next video. So take care and have a good day.